What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm back in my reptile building, or my garage you could call it, and I'm just going to do a quick rundown on rhinoclemmies. Now, I've had that in the comments. It was a request, so I decided, sure, why not, let's do it. So I'm going to just show you the few different enclosures I have for various rhinoclemmies that I keep here. I forget even the total number of species that I have on the rhinoclemmy side, but I do have a lot. So right here are the brown wood turtles, also known as Rhinoclemmies annulata. Now, here is a nice big female, nice and fat and healthy. And you can see that most wood turtles have the same unique build, where they got a little bit of a dome shell. They're somewhat terrestrial. They have nails, but they don't really have the best web feet, so not really the best swimmers, so they prefer shallow water. But these guys come from Costa Rica, Honduras, I think Nicaragua, all through there, and they still somewhat come into the country as imports, but not really that often. So they are kind of rare in collections. But again, I always tell people it's important to have reassurance colonies for all species. So it's good that we have some people in the United States that have these, and they are breeding them. Now, there's only been a few that I've seen as hatchlings being produced in the United States. I have yet to do it. We'll see what happens. Every once in a while I'll get an egg. But check out our enclosure. Look, we have a few in here. There's another female right here just climbing around. We got some bark for them to go under. We got some artificial plants. 3 lighting sources. One's hotter than the other, and we got one with UVB. We got a water dish in there, and we change the water every single day. Now, it depends on how many you have. Once you start having a lot more of them, you're going to obviously want to change the water twice a day, unless you have a larger body of water and some filtration. But I find that these turtles do better just kept mostly dry, and just give them water to soak. You can spray them and mist them once in a while. Sometimes that sparks some breeding, so we'll be doing that soon, because I noticed the mulch is a little dry in here, so the humidity is not really as high as it could be. But this one here, you can see, has been sitting in the water bowl for a while. It likes to sit in the water, this one. It's got an algae circle, of which the water level was at when it was in the bowl. But I love the plastron on this guy, nice and smooth. So they usually get fed papayas, bananas. We do some Missouri, some worms. It's always important to offer a lot of turtles, night crawlers, and meat. It's very good, high in protein. We need to make sure that we stick with that. But we're going to walk over here. I'm going to take you over to the Rhinoclemmies punctularia. Now, the Rhinoclemmies punctularia are from Suriname, Guyana. They're pretty cool. I like them a little bit more colorful than the brown wood turtles. Let me see if I can grab one here. This is a young female, because the females get much bigger. They can get a couple more inches. I've seen some monsters up to like 10 inches, 11 inches. But the Rhinoclemmies punctularia guys are found again in Guyana and Suriname, and I think Nicaragua, but in that area. And you can see this one has had a little bit of a banged up lifestyle. Could have been earlier in its life, but it's healed over. As you can see, some of the bone is exposed. Now, with turtles, they can feel everything we do, everything we touch on their body. A lot of people don't realize that. They think it's like a hermit crab, but it's not. Their shell, their plastron, is made up of keratin, which is the same thing that our fingernails are made out of. So they can feel it. And this one is pretty alert, pretty healthy, pretty fat. Oh, very anxious to get out of my hand, so I'm going to put her back down. So, just to get a good quick look, we have lots of hiding areas. Again, for this one, because we have more turtles in here, we're going to have 2 bowls. So there's 2 bowls here with water, and these guys get their water bowl changed twice a day. So if we do it in the morning, we'll put water in there, we'll fill it up, and then come back at night, empty it, and put new water in there again. Sometimes we'll just leave it dry overnight. We want to make sure there's not too much moisture in here because they can get like a fungus that grows on their face. And we want to make sure we protect them from that. So too much moisture can be bad. But these turtles are just doing fantastic. I know some people have had issues with them. It just depends on the import that you guys get, if you get imported or if you get long-term captives or captive bred. But it's ideal if you can get a captive bred one like this one right here. This is a captive bred Rhinoclemys punctularia. It's a male. And it's only about, I would say, 4 years old. And that's a nice turtle. So those are Rhinoclemys punctularia. A lot of these Rhinoclemys I have set up pretty close to the same. Over here, we have the Incisa. Now this group here is from El Salvador. Let's see. They range pretty much from the Honduras and El Salvador and down in that area. They're a beautiful turtle when you get them as babies. The babies are a lot more colorful on the bottom, just like the Rhinoclemys mani, which they look very similar except for the top of their shell. This is more dull and bland, nothing special about the shell, but they are cool and unique. And the setup is pretty close to the Rhinoclemys punctularia. There's 2 bowls in here as well because there are a bunch of adults. Now these ones are long term. I've had these for a while and they've been laying eggs nonstop. In fact, look at that. There's an egg right there and there's another egg right there. Crazy. Let me see if there's another one. Yeah, we got a third one. Third egg. Probably laid recently because, oh, we got another one down here. 4 eggs. This might be a hot spot, guys. There might be a lot of eggs in that little spot right there. So we're gonna have to come back and start digging around a little bit more. I'm gonna put these eggs, I guess, on the shelf here, so we can get an egg laying bin. Just lay them down. But some of these don't hatch, and a lot of it's because when they lay them, they kind of disturb them. If we don't get them right away, which is hard to stay on top of all these turtles when you have so many and so many enclosures, they'll lay their eggs and then they kind of just end up digging in the mulch and moving them, rolling them over, and you know what happens when that happens, they typically go bad. So the embryo can suffocate, and there's a lot to it, but I wish that wasn't the case. But if you get them within the first like 24 hours, typically the egg can roll around and there's no problems, but you want to get it before that 24-hour time frame. Okay, moving along. So we got the annulatas, the punctularia, the Incisa. Over here is another group of Incisas. So these ones are from El Salvador and these ones are from Honduras. Now, I'm going to show you, I have a massive female, if I can find her. And crazy, she's big, but she hides well. This is, there she is over here. That's a big one too. This one is huge. I've had this one, peeing all over me. So it happens when you hold turtles, guys. Gotta watch out. Hold them out in front, not over top of your shoes so you don't get hit. But this female right here has gotta be, I'm gonna say 10 inches, 11 inches almost. It is massive. And I've had this turtle for 20 years. It's incredible how long I've had this turtle, and this turtle has just been producing like a machine. She is amazing, and I can't be more happier than having this one in my collection. She is a good breeder. She lays probably 2 to 3 times a year. Not always hatching, of course, as I said before. But this is one big female. Now here's another one, which is probably close to the same size. I would say could be a ½ inch smaller. Well, look at the coloration on the head. How beautiful is that? And now one thing I do with this enclosure down here is I keep another Rhinoclemys in there with them that are captive bred. I have Rhinoclemys areolata, which are the furrowed wood turtles. There's a nice furrowed wood turtle. This one is definitely older. You can see some of the shell. There's no more growth rings here. kind of just all smoothing out, which usually happens as they age. But this is a female, and she is fat and plump. The Rhinoclemys annulata is somewhat of a more boring Rhinoclemys punctularia. So they call them the furrowed wood turtles. They're kind of, all right, that's enough. What are you gonna do? Come on. Every time I pick up turtles, they just love to pee. But they pretty much look like the Rhinoclemys punctularia, but more dull and a little bit less colorful, a little uglier. They are cool. I'm not worried about them breeding with each other. I haven't seen anything like that with them. Some species will hybridize and breed with each other. Put this one back in here. So that's that enclosure. You can see this one here has more water because the incisor are bigger, and also the areolatas in here, and I had the option to build it this way. If I were to build it again, I probably would have made the water body a little bit smaller. They don't really need a ton of water. So there's pellets in there. They'll go in there. They'll eat pellets. You can see most of them are on land. A lot of them are on land, but a lot of them are actually burrowed in the mulch, so you can't even see them. So moving along, we're going down over here. Rhinoclemys manni. Everybody knows the Pulcherima manni are one of the most common turtles from the Central and South America range that are in captivity. They've been imported in large numbers. I think that they dropped down on CITES, so now they don't bring as many in, but they are a more colorful turtle. And see if I can find a nice one. This one is, you wet their shells. This one isn't one of the, this is not, trust me, this is not a pretty one by any means. This is the Rhinoclemys Pulcherima manni. This is a female. So their enclosure's a little bit different. So I made this so it was about 75% water, 25% land. And believe it or not, they spend just as much time in the water as they do land. But I have a variety of heating lamps, guys. It's important to make sure that you limit the drafts and you have as much heating as you can. A lot of people just put a lamp on one side and not on the other. Okay, if you're in an aquarium and it's a small enclosure, sure, absolutely. But something larger, you're going to want to have multiple. So this is a UVB right here. I have two heat bulbs here, one there, and this light is actually out. So don't pay attention to that. The bulb's out. Just got to replace it. But the Rhinoclemys manni, I have some in here that I've had for a long time as well, including that one right back there. And in case I ever need to access a turtle, I can just use this net. This is a big female that I've had for a long period of time. I don't even know how many years. But she is big and she is a machine. Look at that. Now here's an ugly shell if I've ever seen one. But I'll tell you, her size is incredible. Most manni you see are not this big, and this one is probably about a good solid 7 inches. Very strong, very healthy, and she also does a great job laying eggs. Their diet, guys, I didn't really touch much on the diet. All the Rhinoclemys, for the most part, get something close to the same. I did mention earlier over there, banana and papaya. Yes, strawberries. Sometimes romaine. Sometimes we'll even put in Missouri. We'll do Missouri crock chow. We'll do endive. We can also add night crawlers. Night crawlers are huge when it comes to especially a turtle that was recently imported. But once you get them hooked up on the Missouri and get them onto the turtle pellets, they seem to do a lot better and a lot easier to care for you. And the longer you have them, the better off you are with getting them to breed and reproduce and lay eggs for you. So we just want to make sure that when they come in, if they do come in, or if you buy something from somebody that was recently imported, you ever acquire them, because they are still being brought in, just make sure that you take the precaution of giving it more of a natural diet until you can get them hooked on the pellets. Missouri is pretty solid for the most part. There is Aquamax 500 that we use as like a fish pellet. Again, the number one thing, a variety of diet, not constantly the same thing. So, my big, massive female Rhinoclemys manni, she is hideous. And if you can see, so there's some logs all through here for them to climb on. You got to make sure, because they're not the best swimmers either, that they can get up out of the water easily and climb up on land. So there's rocks on the right side here. And then over here we got a drain. And the drain, all we do is just pop the drain. The water goes right outside, plug the drain, fill it up. And we do that about 2 to 3 times a week. Try to do it every other day, but it depends on if they've been feeding a lot or eating a lot and what the water's like. But yeah, this is the Rhinoclemys Manni. And now we're moving over here to Morocco wood turtle. This is the, which I've showed in another video when I did the video on all these tubs, Rhinoclemys diatomata. Now look at how amazing this turtle is. The head is incredible. Look at the little heart on its head. She definitely gets a post during Valentine's Day. But she is a female. She's not quite adult yet. And these guys eat mostly pellets, but a variety of pellets again. Every once in a while, they seem to be in the water mostly. Every once in a while, I'll put in there some banana and some greens. Now I have some more over here. I think there's a total of 6. There's some smaller ones. They're not quite, obviously, to adult size. But this one could be related. Look, that look like it has like a mini heart up there. Could be related to the other one. They did come from the same breeder. But yeah, so you could probably set up. You could probably set up the Rhinoclemys, all of them, in an enclosure, something like this as well. Half land, half water. Shallow water. Need to be able to get out. Need to have that basking area. They need to be able to get dry and prevent themselves from getting fungus. Fungus is definitely a big killer with turtles, as well as respiratory infections, so you got to try and prevent both. One is good basking area, land area available, helps reduce fungus, and then the respiratory is clean water. I'll say this a million times. No water is better than dirty water. That is so important to understand. You don't want a turtle sitting in dirty water, drinking dirty water, and getting itself sick. If you can prevent that. If a turtle's just getting dehydrated and you come back later and you give it fresh water, fine, it'll hydrate right then and there. It takes a while for a turtle to die from dehydration, but again, as long as you don't have a heat lamp blazing over top of it at 250 watts and nowhere for it to go to escape that heat, that's a different story. But no water is better than dirty water. Always remember that when you guys are keeping turtles, especially the terrestrial ones that are in half land, half water. And until next time, guys, I'll see you and hope you like and subscribe and have a reptastic day.